let's do it. I got a whole ton of email to answer afterwards.
Support makes the world go round. Jingle. Oh, that's loud. Hey, Greg, how's it going today?
I'm doing well, sir. I'm finally starting to feel like I'm getting my voice back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that whole daycare super bug. Finally feels like it's getting out of my system.
Sweet.
Yeah, how about you?
I'm not feeling 100% today because I pulled an all-nighter last night working on Total CMS 2.0 / Dynamics and the whole new website design and stuff. So yeah, it's been fun. Earlier in the week, Monday and Tuesday, I took a 2-day camping trip with my son's class, and that was a lot of fun. One of the bright sides actually was there was 0 cell service, so I just turned my phone off and had 2 nice days camping with my boy. So that was good.
Nice. Well, let me be sure to reassure everybody that you certainly look like you pulled an all-nighter.
Thanks.
Nope.
Yeah,
no
and then
problem.
and then tomorrow I am taking a 1-day virtual conference, Entree Leadership Conference from Dave Ramsey. Ever heard of him? So there's a 1-day virtual conference they're doing. So that's going to be tomorrow, and then Saturday I leave for a 5-day trip to Vegas for I'm going to the MicroConf conference in Vegas.
Nice.
So yeah,
good place. Where are you staying in Vegas?
The Tropicana. That's where the conference is going to be at. So I'm staying. I try to stay where conferences are. It's just easier.
Yeah, it definitely is easier. You don't have to commute and worry about.
Yep. And my wife's never been to Vegas, so it will be her first trip to Vegas as well. So I'm taking her to Vegas. I've been to Vegas for other conferences for when I used to work a day job, but yeah, she's never been to Vegas, and it'll be fun.
You live pretty close. I'm surprised. At least I've been twice.
Oh yeah,
I live on the other coast.
Yeah, we bought. I mean, I think I bought the tickets like 4 or 5 months ago. So like the airplane tickets were like under $100 round trip. It was nuts.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
good for you.
I mean,
well, have fun.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conference. It'll be a fun one. I haven't been to a conference for over a year, so and this will be a nice. It's a conference basically around indie SaaS and developers. So it's all technical entrepreneur related. So it'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Have to let us know how it goes.
Yep. So today, everyone, we are going to be talking about what have we been talking about, Greg? Oh, HTTPS, right? And
right.
All the fun stuff. I know hopefully you've heard some of the stuff that's going around with HTTPS and how basically everyone's got to get on the bandwagon and get their sites running on HTTPS. So we're going to talk about the 3 ways that we can enable HTTPS on our websites, and then probably a few other tidbits of information after that about what you need to do and things you might see and things that you might want to be aware of. So you want to kick it off, Greg?
Sure. Do you want to start with the tried and true old school way to do it?
Yeah. So the old school way, which is kind of the really expensive, kind of what the big boys do, right?
Yeah. How it used to work is you'd have to generate what's called a certificate signing request. So you see this like CSR abbreviation. That's what that was. So you had to go into your hosting account. You had to generate this public and private key for your SSL certificate. Go to some place, take that information, paste it in, purchase your certificate, and then once you get it in an email, go back to your web hosting panel, upload your certificate, and activate it so that then, or install it and activate it so that then you could have HTTPS on your site. It was expensive. The base certificates at last were around $15 for a .com. Well, I guess it doesn't matter which the URL is, but it's, one single domain. So www or not www, $15. If you wanted what's called a wildcard certificate, which would cover anything .yourdomain.com, So, ftp.joeworkman.net or test.joeworkman.net or dev.joeworkman.net.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy one certificate, so you install it once and it will cover all those domains. Those retailed, I sold them at Chili Dog, were $80.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was expensive for everybody. It was terrible user experience.
And it wasn't a one-time fee, right? Wasn't it like a recurring?
It's a one-time fee per year. So you do the whole process again every year, right? Yeah. So, you could technically buy a certificate that lasted, multiple years, but still you're up against the wall. It's going to happen. You're going to have to renew it. It's just like a domain. It's just like a domain, except significantly more work.
Yeah.
So that's how it used to be. Thankfully, this project came along called Let's Encrypt.
Let's Encrypt. Yes, thank God to them. Yeah. I think it was just like it caught the world or at least the web world by storm, like only within the last 12 to 18 months, right? I think it's really just been really caught on. And thankfully a lot of the big, name companies out there are the ones sponsoring it. And from my knowledge, it's all free, right? So Let's Encrypt is all free. So basically, if nowadays, if you're on a hosting company and they want to charge you for an SSL certificate, you might want to, ask around because, Let's Encrypt certificates are now free, right? So that's really awesome. I believe they support wildcard certificates too now, right? Don't they?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
No, they don't.
But they do expire after 60 days or 90 days? How long is it?
I believe it's 90.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, and then the nicety about it is that they, you typically integrate with the control panel and they automatically renew.
Exactly.
So there's none of that. Why paste where? What does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no cost to it, obviously.
Yep.
But now that friction of getting from turning your site into HTTPS is now minimal.
Yeah.
Minimal at best.
Cool. So I'm assuming, right? You at Chili Dog, you have all it's inside the cPanel, right? Where you and it just automatically renews, so the customer doesn't really need to do anything, right?
Yeah, right. I have actually a blog post, and I should probably publish that before this actually airs. But it's in the auto SSL section, and you'll see all of your domains, all your add-on domains, all of your subdomains set up, and you'll see the SSL status of those. Some users will get confused because there'll be subdomains that they don't necessarily use, and if you put a proxy service like Cloudflare in front, it won't, that'll break the automatic SSL for those subdomains working. But if you don't use them, it's not really a big deal. There are shortcuts for whm.yourdomain.com, right? Or cpanel. Right? And you don't use those, so don't sweat them. But anyways, back into the control panel, auto SSL section, it shows the SSL status. It shows when it's going to renew. And if your site actually has a certificate ready for you to use and secure your site. So small tidbit though that is interesting in setting up and using Let's Encrypt. From my experience, when I first integrated, actually I don't use Let's Encrypt, so this will surprise you, Joe.
Oh,
it's actually Komodo is a large issuer of SSL certificates. They have a competing product because SSL kind of caught them by surprise, right? And losing a lot of market share. They actually have a competing free product. That's actually what gets issued for Chili Dog users is a Komodo certificate, not a Let's Encrypt certificate.
Interesting.
The reason is just because of browser compatibility. More browsers trust Komodo's certificate authority than Let's Encrypt. So you get a slightly higher compatibility with older browsers, especially.
Interesting. Yeah, that's probably just some really old browsers, though. No, or
it's probably, yeah. I mean, at this point, this was like a couple years ago when I integrated this, but I can't think of. It's mainly Android and some of the older browsers that had issues with Let's Encrypt. And if you get a little bit higher level security, a little better browser compatibility, then why not?
Mm-hmm.
I see you researching it.
Yeah, I just did a quick search. I figured someone would be curious. So let's see. Anything greater than Android 2.3.6? I don't know which candy flavor that is. I have no clue. Anything greater than Firefox 2, which now they're at like Firefox 50 or whatever the hell it is. So,
well, they changed their naming schemes too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's see. Anything greater than Windows XP SP3 on Windows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Safari 4. So anything greater than OS 10, 10.4. Anything iOS 3.1, and then it gets into Linux and BlackBerry and crap. So, yeah, I mean, they support anything relatively modern, right? Anything within the last 5-7 years or something like that. So cool.
Yeah. Again, I did this years ago, so those numbers are different.
And yeah, definitely.
So don't break it if it works, and there's no strength, and there's no difference in the strength of the certificate, right?
Yeah.
In the level of the encryption. So your people are covered just as equally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. What I do is I do use Let's Encrypt on a lot of my servers, and then I have a cron job that kind of just like auto renews the Let's Encrypt thing. So that it's kind of automated on my end via a cron job. So hopefully none of you have to do that. That's like super uber geeky stuff. So go to your cPanel or go check out Chili Dog Hosting and get your free certificates on.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
But there's no excuses not to have SSL anymore.
Yes, and you shouldn't be paying. Like, if you are paying right now for your SSL certificates, like I know some people, I had a couple guys say that they were paying like $50 a month because because that's what their host is charging them. That's just absurd, like really absurd. So you're getting taken, brother. So go ahead and find a new hosting company if that is the point, because that is just stealing your money at that point.
I need to reevaluate my ethics.
Yeah, it's nuts. And yeah, absolutely crazy. So next up on the easy, I think we started like the hard, and then, Let's Encrypt is, I don't know, that's pretty darn easy. Or Komodo, if your hosting company supports it all free, right? You just set it up in the cPanel and whatnot, right? The next layer is Cloudflare. And Cloudflare supports basically, even if your site doesn't support a SSL certificate on the server, they will basically, they have what's called flexible SSL. And basically what that means is they will have, well, let me back up. Let's explain a little bit how Cloudflare works, right? So Cloudflare is essentially turns into your DNS provider for your website. So all initial traffic to your site flows through Cloudflare. So all traffic goes to Cloudflare and then to your server, right? So even on their free accounts, they support something called flexible SSL. And what that means is the connection from Cloudflare to the user's browser is secured. Okay. However, if you don't have a certificate installed in your server, the connection from Cloudflare to your server could be non-secure. So this makes it really simple, especially back in the day when Let's Encrypt actually wasn't even around. Cloudflare was definitely the way to go, because it just made that like a breeze to configure. So that's something called flexible SSL, where even if you don't have Let's Encrypt on or some sort of SSL certificate on your server, you can still have SSL through Cloudflare, right? Next, the next level is they have something called full SSL, which basically you can use, you have full SSL from Cloudflare to the browser. And then if you have an SSL certificate on your server, you have SSL from Cloudflare to your server. So that's full. And then they have another layer called like full strict or something like that. I should have brought this up.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Full strict. Strict means that the certificate on your server has to be valid and up to date. I think full will allow self-signed certificates on your host.
Yes.
Yep. So
yeah. So if you do have like a Let's Encrypt or Komodo, certificate on your server, you can do the full strict. What Greg was saying is you can also create something called a self-signed certificate. It's a certificate that you yourself generate. It's not something that was like issued to you from Let's Encrypt or some other certificate authority. I doubt most people are really using that, especially since Let's Encrypt is around. I think that's probably not something most people are going to be using. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're kind of alluding at it, I should mention that SSL kind of works because there are these bodies that are trusted to say that this person is who they say they are.
Mm-hmm.
So Komodo and Let's Encrypt are these entities that issue these IDs, SSL certificates, to authenticate the website.
Yeah.
So that's what these certificate authorities are. And that's how the kind of trust is kind of handled. So the self-sign one is a self-sign one. You don't really have authority to say that, you can't say who you are, right? Because you have to have that third party to validate.
Got it.
Yeah. Hope that's clear.
Yep. So that kind of breezes through the three main ways I think people can get HTTPS on their site, right?
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there that, I get questions about that are probably important for RapidWeaver users. This is the tip of the traffic to their site.
Mm-hmm.
They still you have to update your project file to use that HTTPS URL.
Yep.
So, go into the RapidWeaver project file, go into the project settings, change it to HTTPS, because if there is any single image, any single JavaScript file, any single CSS file that is loaded on the page from HTTP, the browser will immediately invalidate the pages insecure.
Yes.
So do that. And then the other thing is, and that I get asked a lot, is people think that you have one or the other. So they think that HTTP and HTTPS are mutually exclusive, but they're not. I think that's right. Okay. They are mutually exclusive.
They are mutually exclusive. Yes.
It's not an or. It's not an or. So if by enabling SSL or using SSL, your site is not immediately just SSL to everybody, right? Because they can still access the HTTP version. So if you're going to force SSL, you can do it in a couple ways. You have to use either Cloudflare, and you can use the always SSL feature in Cloudflare, which I should note breaks the Let's Encrypt, I believe. At least it used to. It breaks the Let's Encrypt auto renewing of certificates unless you have the page rule there. I don't know if that's still true. It used to. Have you looked at it lately?
No, it works. It works for me. So, I think it must be good to go because I use it on WeaverSpace.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what used to happen? What used to happen is it would try to force the secret Let's Encrypt file to HTTPS, which can't be validated and renew. So it usually has to be done over HTTP for the initial one.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, I'm glad that's fixed. But the other way to force SSL for a site is the HT access file.
Yep.
So I know that can be a scary thing for a lot of RapidWeaver users.
Yeah, the HT access file is definitely can be a little bit tricky. Yeah, just Google. If you just Google that, we'll have a link in the show notes. How about that instead of telling you to go Google it?
Yeah, well, sure. I should also mention, thanks to some poking and prodding by our friend Paul, I've restarted Weaver Tips. So Weaver Tips is a project I started about a year ago, and it was mainly GIFs of how to do different things in RapidWeaver.
Yeah.
And Paul kind of nudged me because he was talking about how he wanted to do something. I'm like, well, I kind of already did that on Weaver Tips. And Weaver Tips was really just about GIFs. And I've updated the site now to support both just text and project files. So now if I just have a text tip, it'll show up as a certain banner, and I'll be able to add project files as zip files, and you'll be able to download example project files.
Cool.
So now it's kind of expanding. So back to the HD access thing and the HTTPS support, I actually have tips now for the code for an HD access file to force SSL for a site. So how you could do it in a few different ways.
Very cool.
So I have tips for forcing, doing stuff like forcing www in your domain, or stripping that out and forcing the bare domain.
Yep.
Too. So, so everybody check it out.
Cool.
So, and thank Paul on the forums.
Paul Russum. Thank you, Paul.
Yes.
You are an amazing resource. That guy's a workhorse. He does some really good stuff.
He does.
So SSL. So what do RapidWeaver users need to do, right? And things that I've seen, right? So Greg touched base on a lot of the things, right? Make sure that I do have to say that I prefer the redirect to always use HTTPS, right? So I redirect all my domains from, if you go to it with HTTP, it'll redirect it to HTTPS, right? That just makes sure that all traffic is going through that. I don't need to worry about something that should be secure and it's not, and things of that nature, right? I just have it always be HTTPS. Seems like it's the way to go, right?
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Definitely is, especially with all the browser stuff.
Yep. So the next thing I was going to say is, what Greg said with the browser stuff is, why do we want to do all this? Why go through the headache of all of this? Okay. So a lot of the browser vendors are definitely getting much more stringent on their security policies. And that means that they want to ensure that website visitors their data is protected, right? And so they're making sure that if a website is HTTPS, they like that, right? And Google has explicitly said that they will prefer all sites that are actually served over HTTPS. So if your site is not HTTPS, you're going to get dinged in your search results, in your rankings, right? Because you're not HTTPS. So that's definitely a big reason. Just that alone is a big reason to go and do this, right? Especially since it is relatively easy, since we went over all the steps earlier. And next up is all the browsers. What they're going to start doing is, and they're actually already doing it now, right? What browsers are doing now, I've gotten several support requests over the past few weeks about this, where they're getting alerts in Chrome or in Safari. Mostly Chrome is definitely the most in your face right now, that it's saying this page is not secure, right? And right now, what browsers are doing is they're displaying these messages on any web page that is not HTTPS and has some sort of input. So if you have a form or a password protection box, so I've been getting a few requests from people that have my page safe stack on the page, and they're wondering, why is page safe not secure? It has nothing to do with any of that. It just has to be that your website is not HTTPS. So the browser is warning the user that they are going to input, data into this form on a website that is not secure. So right now, they are only displaying these warnings for web pages that actually have some sort of user input. Okay. But in the future, they have said later this year that they will display this warning regardless. So they will across the board display the error that your website is not secure if it is not HTTPS. So very important. You don't want users to have any sort of reason to not trust you or your website. And HTTPS is really easy to configure. So just go ahead and do it.
I wouldn't say it's a de facto or a huge signal that you should be focusing on. If you're going to do all your effort and stuff, write content, do the image stuff that we talked about before. But it's an easy, low-hanging fruit that would take you 5 minutes. So
yep, definitely.
Definitely do it.
So next up, so you're in your RapidWeaver project. What do you need to do? You've configured HTTPS on your site. What do you need to do, right? Greg said some of these steps earlier, right? Make sure you go into your project's general settings and update your website address to be HTTPS. Okay, so HTTPS : and then your domain. Okay. Then throughout your entire site, if you're referencing any sort of URL, if you are using warehoused images, if you are importing any sort of libraries that you've added into the head or into the the body or anything, right? If you pasted any code that imports anything externally, you're going to want to make sure that all of the those URLs are referenced with HTTPS, because, like Greg said earlier, if the browser says or sees that you are trying to use an HTTP resource on your HTTPS page, it's going to throw up warnings to the user, and it's going to say, this page is not secure. So, and in fact, some won't even load a non-secure resource at all. So your page might not actually behave properly as well. So you're going to make sure that you go through all of your various things that you've added to your project. Again, warehouse images, any sort of external library or code snippet that you've pasted, or some sort of embed code. Now, another thing that I should add, a lot of embed code things, you can actually completely omit HTTP : right? So you could just do / and then the URL. And what that will do is that will tell the browser to use whatever protocol the page is currently on. So if your page is HTTPS, it will use HTTPS. If your page is HTTP, it will use HTTP. The side effect of that is if you do that and then you're on an HTTPS site and then the site that you're referencing doesn't have that or something of that nature, right? It could potentially cause some issues. So yeah, be careful of that. I just recommend using HTTPS for everything. What do you think, Greg?
Absolutely. It just seems like a no-brainer.
Yep.
We preaching to the choir, my friend. Preaching to the choir.
Cool.
As Joe, you gave some good examples, Joe. So well done.
Sweet. I think I'm out of ideas on this. You got anything else to add?
Just do it.
Just do it. Do it soon, because all these, I'm starting to get a lot of, like I said, a lot of support requests and people are asking about this. So go ahead, do it. Check out your hosting company. Use
I think it's Chrome. Yeah, I think it's Chrome 68, version 68, I believe, or something. Soon.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's by July of 2018. I think that's when they plan on, doing it. I don't know why I have that date in my head, but for some reason I thought July. It was something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yep. So July and then, yep, Chrome 68.
Cool.
July. So we were both right.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, good to talk to you. Enjoy your trip to Vegas.
I will. I'm not much of a gambling man, but I will definitely enjoy myself. My wife loves the slots, man. She'll sit there and she'll be on the slots machines while I'm on the conference all day, and she'll be having a blast. So I hope she does.
I'm a blackjack kind of person.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you could have probably guessed that.
I got into, when I was on a cruise, I got into roulette. And
yes.
I know that's a total game of chance, but on the cruise ship, like, it was a minimum of $1. And I loved it. It was great. And I made a killing. But then whenever I'd go to casinos now, like, the minimum bet on a roulette table is like $5. And I'm like, to hell with that. Like, $5 minimum bet on a roulette table is you can lose a lot of money really quick with that.
You know what I used to do is I'd only bet red or black, and every time I lost, I'd double the money. Okay. Right. So you always, whenever you hit,
yep,
whenever you win, you always get your money back plus, what you originally bet.
Yep.
And I was in the Bahamas, and had 7 losses in a row.
Oh,
And it was like $100 something. So my next bet would have had to been in the 300s, and I just couldn't stomach it. And of course, And of course, it hit, and I would have, made it all back and everything. But it was a long night to try to win all that back. long night. But different days, different age. But all right, good to talk
Greg.
to you, sir.
Yep. So where can everyone find you on the interwebs, Gregory?
ChiliDogHosting.com, ChiliDogSoftware.com, and @Barshard on Twitter.
Sweet. And as always, I am @Joe Workman everywhere: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. If you want to listen to all your past shows here, if you are just listening, I just sent out an email yesterday and we got like double our downloads in the past 24 hours. So it's been great. So if you are new, make sure you go over to WeaverRadio.com, go to the archive, and you can listen to all of our past episodes, or in your favorite podcast player. It should work inside all podcast players. And check out all of our past episodes. So there's been some really great ones. So, yeah. Yes, and if you are enjoying the show, go leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. We'd appreciate it. I haven't even checked if we have any 5-star reviews. I should do that. I mean, we'll report back on the next show.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
Good to talk to you, Joe.
Cool. Take care, Greg. I'll talk to you later.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.